Our next guest preceded Pawlenty as the governor of Minnesota, and he has plenty of strongly held views on the economy himself. He also has a history of moving beyond right and left, as Pawlenty referred to. We welcome former politician, professional wrestler, and Navy SEAL Jesse Ventura. He's author of the new book, 63 Documents Your Government Doesn't Want You to Read. Governor, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So I'm curious what you think of your fellow Minnesotan who is now running for presidential office. And he hasn't laid out all of the specifics of an economic plan as of yet, but I'm curious what you think of what you've heard so far.
Well, I really haven't heard because I haven't paid attention to it much, but I kind of chuckle because, you know, had I sought re-election, he probably wouldn't be where he is right now, because I certainly could have been re-elected if I'd have ran for a second term. But I'm a statesman, and there's a difference between a statesman and a politician. A politician makes it his career. A statesman serves and then goes back to the private sector when he's done.
So I guess he should be thanking you in some of his campaign speeches.
Well, I don't know about that. That's all water under the bridge.
Right. I am curious, though, you know, even as a statesman who's returned to the private sector, I'm sure you've kept an eye on what's going on in the economy of both Minnesota and the U.S. as a whole. And I'm curious how you would tackle some of the challenges that we seem to be facing right now. He brought up the question of entitlements. Where do you stand on that issue?
Well, I'll change the subject and say let's actually get to some real changes and some real issues that you'd get from an independent like me. You want to talk the United States economy, then let's talk taxes. I would abolish the income tax, and I would go to a consumption-based national sales tax. That would change the whole format of how the United States does business. Number one, all taxes would then be paid from business to government. You wouldn't need the Internal Revenue anymore. You'd reverse their role. Rather than having Internal Revenue watch the people, you would have them watch the businesses and watch the government to ensure they're spending our dollars correctly. Now, there's major change for you.
Now, that is major change, and I think it's change that, you know, a lot of people have supported, at least in theory. I'm curious about it in practice, though. I mean, as somebody who's ran a state and actually did the business of managing and having to come up with realistic solutions, I mean, do you think there's any chance that something like that could ever actually happen, especially given the current environment?
I don't know, but it would certainly be better, and here's the reason why. With the current income tax, it makes the government number one because they get your money first. With a national sales tax, you'd take home the gross of your check. You would decide what you paid taxes on by what you bought and purchased. Wealth shouldn't be determined by income. It should be determined by what you spend. You can make $1 million a year, but if you live in a studio apartment and you drive a beat-up Volkswagen, you're hardly living like a millionaire, so why should you be taxed like one? Now, if you buy the Mercedes, you buy the yacht, and you live in the penthouse, now you're living like a millionaire and you'll be taxed like one. See, an independent like me would change the whole concept of what the United States is all about. But unfortunately, with the Democrats and Republicans, what you have is what you get. They are responsible for all our economic future, and they've done a horrible job.
Governor,
look at how in debt we are today.
We're gonna ask you to hold on and come back and talk more. I want to turn to your book, which again is all about conspiracy. It's about documents that the government has not.
No.
I'm sorry?
This one's not about conspiracy at all. This is just government documents that they don't want you to see, or I don't think they want the public to know about. These are all government documents. They are what they are. There's no conspiracy here.
I stand corrected. I do want to talk to you about openness, though, which obviously is
Sure.
linked to the idea of publishing these documents and getting them out there. And I have to bring up Anthony Weiner, if I may, because this is also a question of openness, obviously not about documents, but about personal secrets. And for a public official, I mean, how much openness do you think there should be?
Well, first of all, let's lay blame where it ought to go, the Democratic and Republican parties. Because they're the ones that put forth these candidates. They're the ones that they come up through their system Shouldn't they vent these candidates at some point? Shouldn't they really know about who they're putting up there that we're going to elect? And then to the candidates themselves, from the Democrats and Republicans, when are you going to give the office the respect it's due? When you serve, can't you control yourselves? Can't you behave the way you should and behave like role models for our kids? Apparently, Republicans and Democrats are incapable of doing that.
I mean, to the vetting point, though, I mean, it's pretty tough to vet someone. His wife presumably vetted him pretty thoroughly and didn't know that this was going on. I mean, how do you conduct an investigation like that and make sure that the person you're putting up for office isn't going to have a scandal like this?
I don't know, but obviously he's been around for a while. You just don't run as a rookie to the United States Congress. Did he hold other elected positions prior to this? Or is he a rookie in Congress? I don't know. But again, it comes back to the Democratic and Republican parties, too. They bear responsibility because they're the ones that put these candidates forward who get into office and then misbehave and can't control their sexual desires or whatever hell else excuse they give.
Right. So to turn from personal secrets to government secrets and some of what you talk about in your book, where do you draw the line there? WikiLeaks has come under fire for releasing some secrets that some in government have said are jeopardizing national security. Do you think there is a line to be drawn there, especially as someone who was formerly a Navy SEAL?
Well, of course there is on direct operations, but for the most part, if we've got backstabbing politicians who say bad things about other foreign countries and things like that, isn't it the classic case that they're killing the messenger and not the message? If these people hadn't written this stuff in the first place, there would be nothing to release, would there? And so, you know, to me, you have every right to know all the secrets of our government because we pay them. They do things with our money. That's what angers me in my book. They're behaving like this, and these documents prove how they behave, and they're using my money to do it. I have every right to know what they're spending my money on.
Governor, we're going to have to leave it there, unfortunately, but we really appreciate your time getting your opinion on a range of subjects. Former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura joining us today to chat about what's going on in the world of secrets.